Every story has a turning point, a moment when everything changes. The turning point.
I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I moved between rooms like a ghost in someone else's house, turning off lights I didn't remember turning on, checking locks I knew were already locked. Every few minutes I reread the note. Don't follow me, I'm safe. Safe. What did that even mean anymore? Was it a code, a lie, or just the last thing he thought I needed to hear? And then there was the other word, the one he didn't say, but left behind, stagecraft. It gnawed at me, not just for what it meant, but for the way he framed it, literally. That word, taped beneath the image that started it all, the original video, the circle, the chair, the voice, the moment my world cracked open. I stared at the corkboard, fingers brushing the photo, the line through the center. Red ink, heavy and precise, not random, not careless. It felt theatrical, deliberate, like he was trying to say, none of it was real, or maybe all of it was. Was it a message or a farewell? I stepped back and looked around the room. Something felt wrong, too empty, too curated, like he hadn't just left. He'd prepared for it. Clean desk, cleared drawers, deleted browser history on the family computer. Even his photos were gone from the walls, except one, tucked behind a shelf, half hidden behind an old soccer trophy, a Polaroid. Josh, age 8, arms wrapped around a dog we'd fostered for a week before it ran away. His eyes were squinting from the sun, grinning wide, honest, happy. I held it in my hand for a long time. Then finally, I flipped it over and froze. There was writing on the back, 3 lines. If you find this, you're not done. The play is still on. Ask about the understudy. I blinked. Understudy? What the hell did that mean? I slipped the photo into my coat pocket and looked around the room again. This wasn't goodbye. It was an invitation, or maybe a test. The next act had already begun, and I was still on stage. I didn't know where to start. Ask about the understudy, he'd written. Not look for, not watch out for. Ask. But ask who? The next morning I sat at the kitchen table with a yellow notepad, trying to piece it together. The notebook, the footage, the vanishing trailer, Josh disappearing, NDS, Michael's warning, and now this. Was the understudy another kid, someone they swapped in after Josh left, or was Josh the understudy, brought in to take someone else's place? I picked up my burner phone and called Michael. No answer. I texted instead. Need to talk. Josh left a clue. Possible second subject. Codename understudy. Nothing. I stared at the screen for 5 full minutes before it finally buzzed. One reply. Meet? I typed back. Yes, library. Back study room. Noon. I arrived early. The library was quiet, cooler than usual, the kind of silence that presses into your eardrums. I found the corner study room and waited, the Polaroid clenched in my hand. Michael showed up at 12:05. Same coat, same tired eyes. Before I could speak, I handed him the photo. He read the back and nodded slowly. Understudy. That's not random, he said. It's internal slang. Some operations, especially underground conditioning rings, they use theater metaphors, keeps it poetic, detached, makes horror feel like art. I felt sick. So what does it mean? I asked. He sat across from me, lowered his voice. If Josh was the understudy, it means there was someone else before him, Someone who dropped out or couldn't handle it or... He stopped. Or didn't survive, I finished. He nodded. Can we find out who? I asked. He hesitated. Only if we know where the first subject started. My brain kicked into overdrive. The notebook, the logs, the footage, session codes, location hints. And then it hit me. The garage behind Miller's wasn't the first set, I said. That was season 2. Remember the log? S2 launch. He looked at me impressed. So where was season 1 filmed? I took out my phone, pulled up the files, and scrolled back to the earliest image I had saved. A screenshot from the first frame of the video. There, in the corner, faint graffiti, barely visible, Denton R. I pointed at it. That's a school, Denton Ridge Middle, 2 towns over. Josh went there one summer before transferring. Michael leaned in. That's where we start. The play might still be on, but now I knew where the stage had been built. The Denton Ridge campus looked like every other school I'd ever worked in. Square buildings, a faded playground, too many security cameras, and not enough shade. But something about it felt colder. It wasn't just memory, it was atmosphere, like the walls themselves had absorbed secrets. Michael flashed an old badge, one of those retired but respected credentials that people don't question. We signed in as visiting alumni, and a tired-looking secretary waved us toward the archives room. The school kept digital records now, but the old files, photos, yearbooks, incident reports were still stored in a musty, neglected closet beside the janitor's office. I flipped open a 3-ring binder labeled Summer Programs, Year 1. Josh's name was there, scribbled in pencil beside a half-faded entry. Behavioral Immersion Track, Group C. Michael raised an eyebrow. That's not standard school language. I flipped a few pages forward and stopped. Another name, Leo Mendez. 2 entries above Josh. Same program, same group. I didn't recognize the name, but something about it scratched at the back of my mind. I snapped a photo and kept going. At the very back of the binder was a folder labeled Withdrawals, Disciplinary, Internal Use Only. Inside, I found a 1-page report. Subject, L. Mendez. Date, 06/24. Event, unexplained incident during session. Elevated stress response. Result, removal from program. Reassignment pending. The rest was blacked out with marker. Michael leaned over my shoulder, jaw tightening. This kid was the original lead. Josh was brought in after. I nodded slowly. The understudy. He pointed to the top of the page. That stamp, NDS affiliate. They embedded in the program, probably under some research partnership. I stared at Leo's name. Do you think he's still alive? Michael didn't answer right away. Then quietly, I think someone didn't want him remembered. We checked the school's online directory. No mention of Leo Mendez. No photos. No student ID. No graduation record. It was like he'd never been there. I swallowed hard, heart pounding. But the worst part? At the very bottom of that incident report, barely legible beneath the faded ink, was a handwritten note. Footage retained. Node 1 archive. Do not circulate without clearance. I looked at Michael. We need to find that archive. Because if Leo had vanished, maybe he'd left something behind. The phrase Node 1 archive looped in my brain like static. It didn't sound like a server, not just digital. It sounded physical, tangible. Michael and I sat in the parking lot of a run-down gas station just off Highway 38, staring at the notebook I'd brought, trying to make connections. He tapped a line from one of the earlier entries. 4-3 session WATRL, 12 mins, 87.3 live, 221 replay. Session with L, he said. That's Leo. That's the original video, which means it has to be stored somewhere. And look here, he pointed to the next line. Node 1, legacy stream, off-grid only. Off-grid, I repeated. So not cloud, not internet-based. Michael nodded. They archived it physically, probably for control. We went back to that weird shell company name, NDS Services, LLC. I remembered their fiber install truck from the tech park a few weeks ago. We searched local business filings. They listed only one facility in state, not in the city, not even in the suburbs, just an address, 1428 Glen Hollow Road, commercial storage, level 3 clearance only. Michael looked it up on satellite view, warehouse, remote, surrounded by woods, no signs, no neighbors, and one winding, unpaved road leading to a rusted gate. It didn't look like a server farm. It looked like a place you bury things. I stared at the screen. We're going. Michael didn't argue. We left at dusk. The drive was long and quiet, the kind of silence where even the tires seemed to whisper. As we turned onto Glen Hollow Road, the trees grew thick and heavy on both sides, blotting out the light. Finally, we saw it. The gate, closed, but not locked. Just a chain looped loosely, as if they assumed no one would dare come this far. Michael killed the headlights and coasted through. Beyond the gate was a single building, steel-paneled, squat, windowless. A large door in front, another smaller one on the side. We approached on foot. Michael checked the side entrance, locked. Then he pried open a rusted panel near the base and shone a flashlight through. His breath caught. Boxes, he said, rows of them, all labeled. He reached in with a coat hanger, jiggled something, then the door clicked. We slipped inside. The air was cold, mechanical, and utterly silent. Rows of storage crates, steel shelves, minimal lighting. Each box was marked with a sticker, NDS Vid LG1, NDS Vid JC4, NDS Log S1 Live. And then, on the far wall, a cabinet marked in red, Archive, Node 1, Sessions Classified. I moved closer, hands trembling. Inside, dozens of VHS tapes, old hard drives, and one black case with a yellow tag. I pulled it out. It read, Leo M. Initial series, do not duplicate stress protocol beta 1. My knees nearly gave out. We'd found it, proof of the first act, of the original victim, of what Josh had stepped into, and unknowingly or not. Michael looked at me. You ready to watch this? I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. We didn't speak on the drive back. The black case sat on my lap like it might burn through the fabric. We didn't risk playing it at home or anywhere near Wi-Fi. Michael had access to an old office, a dusty security room in a decommissioned county building where nobody asked questions. There we found an old TV with a built-in VHS deck. The tape slid in with a mechanical click. The screen went black. And then it began. No title, no timestamp. Just a static-filled shot of a small room. Concrete walls, a folding chair, a single bulb swinging from the ceiling. A boy sat in the chair, not Josh. Younger, thinner, shaky knees. His hands gripped the seat like he was bracing for something. Leo. His name was never spoken, but I knew it was him. Voices off-camera murmured, faint, clinical. One male, one female. Male. Begin sequence. Leo flinched, like he recognized that voice. Female. Stress calibration in effect. Monitor vitals. Then came the light. Brighter, flickering, pulsing at intervals. Leo squinted, recoiled, then looked straight ahead. On the opposite wall, we couldn't see what he saw, but it affected him. His face crumpled, his breathing changed, shallow, fast. He whispered something too soft to hear. Michael turned up the volume. Another voice entered the room, distorted, modulated. It repeated one phrase, over and over. Do you understand your role? Do you understand your role? Leo covered his ears. No, he whispered. No, I didn't say yes. The light pulsed faster. The camera zoomed in. Leo was shaking now, mouthing words that didn't match the audio. He looked off camera suddenly, at someone, not in fear, in recognition. And then he said something I'll never forget. You told me this would help my mom. I felt everything in me stop. Michael froze too. The screen cut to static. Then, a new frame. Same room, empty chair. No Leo, but on the floor, a piece of paper. Scrawled handwriting. Michael paused the tape, rewound, froze the image. We leaned in. It was hard to read, but one line was clear. If she ever finds this, tell her I tried. Silence. Michael turned off the tape. We sat there breathing shallow. Leo wasn't just a subject. He was a kid promised something. Manipulated, broken, vanished, and someone, maybe they, thought I might come looking one day. If she ever finds this, Michael looked at me. You think he meant you? I didn't answer, because I already knew. I didn't speak on the drive back, not out of shock, but something worse, recognition. That look on Leo's face when he said, you told me this would help my mom. The rawness in his voice, the betrayal, and the paper. If she ever finds this. Michael pulled into the motel parking lot where we'd agreed to stay the night. Neutral ground, no trace. I sat on the edge of the bed while he locked the door and checked the blinds. I think, I said slowly, that wasn't meant for just any she. Michael turned. You think he meant you? I nodded. Or someone like me, a parent, a teacher, a watcher. He sat across from me. You said you worked in Denton Ridge once? Just for a summer, I said. A special program. They needed interim staff. He raised his eyebrows. What kind of program? I looked at him, really looked, and felt something twist inside. Behavioral immersion. They framed it as early mentorship for at-risk kids. We were told they'd been through trauma, needed structure. They gave us talking points, scripts. I swallowed hard. They told us not to ask questions, just follow the schedule, stick to the plan. He leaned forward. You think Leo was in that group? I don't think, I said. I know. And that's when it hit me. The reason I'd remembered his name, the way the tape felt familiar, because I'd seen him that summer in the hallways, quiet, small, eyes too old for his face. And I'd said nothing. I'd followed the plan. I was part of it, I whispered. Not the worst part, not the planning, but I didn't ask. I didn't look deeper. Michael didn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. I stood and paced the room, suddenly restless. There's more, I said. The letter, the photo, Josh's note. They all point to one thing. What? That this isn't about stopping the program, I said. It's about stopping what comes next. Michael's burner phone buzzed on the table. He picked it up, frowned. "No number," he muttered. Then he held it out to me. One message, no greeting, no name, just, "He's not safe, but he's close." My breath caught. Josh. I grabbed the phone and typed back. "Where?" The typing bubbles appeared immediately. Then, "Come alone, 10 p.m., where the play began." I looked at Michael. "Miller's Auto," I said. That's where they want me." He grabbed his coat. "Then you're not going alone." I met his eyes. "No," I said. "They said come alone. If they see you, they'll run." He hesitated. "I'm not asking," I added, because I knew something he didn't. This wasn't just a trap. It was the final scene. I pulled up to Miller's Auto just before 10 o'clock p.m. The lot was darker than I remembered. No streetlights, no breeze, just stillness, the kind that holds its breath. I parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest, my steps muffled against cracked pavement. The gate was open, same as before. But this time, I didn't hesitate. I stepped through, flashlight in hand, phone in my pocket, heart pounding loud enough to echo in my ears. The trailers were gone, so was the tarp. But the garage, the one with the freshly painted door, was wide open. Inside, a single bulb flickered from the ceiling, the exact scene from the video, chair in the center, concrete walls. Everything in me screamed leave. But I stepped forward. Then I heard it, a voice, calm, composed, theatrical. "She's here." From the shadows, a figure stepped out, Josh. But not the Josh I knew. This one stood taller, straighter, shoulders squared, eyes blank. Like he'd rehearsed this. He looked at me, no emotion. "Grandma," he said, like it was just another line in a script. "Josh." I took a step forward. "Are you okay?" He tilted his head. Define okay. Something was wrong, not just with him, with the room. It wasn't a confrontation. It was a performance. "You shouldn't have come," he said, "but you were always going to." Then I heard footsteps behind him. Another figure emerged. Older, sharp suit, clean shoes that didn't belong in this dusty place. "Thank you for accepting the invitation," he said. I turned to face him. "Your NDS?" I asked. He smiled. "We're many things, but tonight, let's just say, I'm the director." I felt sick. "This isn't a game," I said. "No," he replied. "It's a study, but like any great study, it needs a climax." He gestured to Josh. The boy was loyal for a time, but he got sloppy. You pulled focus." Josh's face twitched. "And now?" I asked. "Now," the man said, "we write the ending." He turned to Josh. "You know what to do." Josh didn't move. The air thickened. The silence screamed. "Josh," I whispered. He looked at me, and for the first time in days, I saw something behind his eyes. Not blankness, defiance. He turned to the man, took a step forward, and said, "No." The man blinked. "That's not your line." Josh smiled, barely. "I'm not reading your script anymore." The room held still, like time itself was deciding what came next. And then the man stepped back, jaw tightening. "Cut the lights," he said into his sleeve, and everything went black. Darkness, complete, suffocating, deliberate. I froze. "Josh!" I called out, heart hammering. "Josh, where are you?" No answer, just a sound, movement, quick and sharp. Then another, footsteps, a scuffle, and then a crash. I stumbled forward, arms out, groping in the dark. My hand hit the chair, still warm, recently empty. Then I heard it, a grunt, a thud. "Josh!" I screamed again. Then a hand grabbed mine, small, familiar. "I've got you," he whispered. "Are you hurt?" "No," he said, "but we need to go, now." I didn't ask questions. I let him pull me, fast and low, through the dark toward the exit. Behind us, shouting. Male voices, footsteps slamming on concrete. But ahead, a sliver of night. Josh shoved open a side door and we burst into the open air. He led me across the lot and into the tree line. A black SUV sat parked between the brush. Engine running, door open. Michael stood by the driver's side, gun drawn, eyes locked on the garage. We dove in. "Drive!" Josh shouted. Michael didn't ask. Tires spun, gravel kicked, headlights cut across weeds and chain link fencing as we roared out of the lot and back onto the road. No one followed. Not yet. We drove in silence until the lights of town appeared on the horizon. I turned to Josh, who stared out the window, still breathing fast. "Are you okay?" I asked. He nodded, barely. Then he looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, he looked like my grandson again. "I didn't know how to stop it," he whispered. "I thought if I played along, I could learn enough to shut it down from the inside." "You almost didn't make it out," I said. "I know." We pulled into the old county building, the same place where we'd watched Leo's tape. Michael handed me a flash drive. "What's this?" I asked. He looked at Josh. He recorded the last session before they wiped the system. Everything, names, commands, faces, enough to burn them down. Josh added softly, "It's encrypted, but you'll figure it out." I closed my fingers around the drive. "You're not going back," I said. He looked at me. I wasn't planning to. The fallout took days. Michael made a call to a contact he hadn't spoken to in years. I released the footage, not to the police, not first, but to a journalist who specialized in data leaks and protected sources like sacred scripture. The story broke within 48 hours, headlines everywhere. Private network exploits minors in simulated psychological dramas, FBI investigating. Underground project stagecraft linked to missing teens, staged videos, and behavioral manipulation. They didn't name Josh, or Leo, or me, but the symbol was there. The black circle with a white triangle. NDS. Under pressure, the organization vanished. Websites offline. Offices emptied. Names scrubbed. But the footage lived. Leo's video. Josh's defiance. My testimony. It couldn't be unseen. Weeks passed. Josh came back home. Quiet, but healing. We took walks again, ate real meals, watched movies without checking shadows. He never said much about what happened inside. I never pushed, but one morning I found him at the kitchen table, staring at a notebook, blank pages, a pen in hand. "What are you writing?" I asked. He looked up and smiled faintly. "Something real." I nodded and let him be. Sometimes I still hear the phrase in my head, "Do you understand your role?" And now I finally do. I wasn't the hero. I wasn't the victim. I was the one who kept watching when no one else would. And in a world full of cameras and screens, sometimes that's the most dangerous role of all.
If this story moved you, there's more to come. Subscribe and don't miss the next turning point.